Good evening. Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network Prime Time as we await President Trump to host a White House ballroom dinner, and how lovely 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue looks in the evening with the lights and the two new flag poles. I know that was set up this summer, but it always looks wonderful, especially as evening hits the federal city. In case you missed it today, House Speaker Mike Johnson was joined by House Republican leadership to speak on the 15th day of Chuck Schumer's shutdown in cohorts with his Democrats and fellow minority leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries. These Democrats don't care if 1/3 of the military lives paycheck to paycheck. They do not care about the SNAP benefits. They do not care about those on government welfare who are in need of the government being open. And although you have warnings from Secretary Bessent at the Treasury talking about the billions and billions of dollars it will cost to continue to shut down this government, these Democrats don't seem to budge in this PR battle taking place. But we know that House Speaker Mike Johnson leading clearly on this with a clean CR, and he had some further additional comments today in case you missed it earlier.
Welcome, everybody. We're on day 15 of the Democrat government shutdown. Not a good day on Capitol Hill, not a good day across America, because real Americans are feeling the pain due to the Democrats' political nonsense. And we want to specifically focus this morning on one area that's gotten a lot of attention, and one segment of the population that truly deserves better treatment than the Democrats are giving them, and that is our military. Today, if it weren't for the bold leadership of President Trump helping us to protect our military, everyone needs to understand that 1.3 million active duty service members would be missing a paycheck. They'll get their check, thankfully, because President Trump has shown strong leadership. And under his direction, the Department of War has now redirected unspent funds to ensure that our troops are taken care of. And this is while Democrats are playing political games. Last night, they played some games. They stormed my office. Maybe you saw some of the video online that they themselves shared, or someone did. They berated a Capitol Police officer, screamed at him. He was just merely standing his post. Shows again their disdain for law enforcement, as we see all around the country, the Democrats and everyone in that. Did it right. A few members of Congress went into the little foyer of my office and tore down a sign that I had up, and just engaged in all sorts of political stunts and antics. They've been doing that every day now, and it shows their desperation. It also shows a very strong contrast between the party that is working for the people and trying to keep the government open and do the right thing, and the party that is engaging in all this nonsense. But they've shown by their actions and now their votes multiple times now. 9 times the Democrats have voted, counting the House and the Senate Democrats, they have voted to not pay the troops. They have voted to block their paychecks. And it's very serious stuff, and they don't seem to care at all. The problem we have right now is that in spite of President Trump's heroic efforts to make sure they get paid, that is a temporary fix, because the executive branch's help is not permanent. It can't be. And if the Democrats continue to vote to keep the government closed, as they have done now so many times, then we know that U.S. troops are going to risk missing a full paycheck at the end of this month. And that means service members on deployment who've left their young families back home, relying upon these checks. It means service members who are thousands of miles away from home. It means service members trying to make their rent, and those who have ailing relatives that need to be taken care of. None of those people will be paid if the Democrat obstruction continues. And it should outrage every American, because it does us. Democrats in Congress, again, have voted 9 times. Here's the tally. Every single time the Republicans have voted to pay the troops, and by the way, all other federal employees, federal workers, and the Democrats have voted over and over to stop it. And the depressing irony of this, on this particular subject, among all others, is that the most pro-shutdown Democrats actually represent the most active duty service members back home. whom they have taken hostage in this insidious political game. And I want to give you a couple of examples, and this is the actual statistic of the 10 states with the largest military populations. 6 are represented each by 2 Democrats in the Senate who are withholding the paychecks. Here's the list. In California, it's home to 157,000 active duty personnel, the most in the country. Those stationed at Fort Hunter Liggett and Camp Pendleton and Edwards Air Force Base and Vandenberg Space Force Base and others will all miss a paycheck at the end of the month if Democrat obstruction continues. Now, this is worthy of note. Both California senators, Adam Schiff and Alex Padilla, are gleeful about this government shutdown. They agree with Chuck Schumer when he said very candidly just a few days ago, every day of the shutdown gets better for us. Who's the us? He's talking about Democrats. He thinks this is assisting their party and giving him political cover so he doesn't attract a Marxist challenger in his next Senate reelect. That's what this is about. So he thinks the government shutdown is allowing him to show a fight against President Trump and Republicans, and he is happy about that. And so are Adam Schiff and Alex Padilla, while service members are going without paychecks. Virginia is home to 119,000 active duty personnel. It is the second most in the country. Those stationed at Naval Station Norfolk, Quantico, and Fort A.P. Hill, and others will miss paychecks at the end of this month if this is not resolved. Both Virginia senators, Tim Kaine and Mark Warner, are playing political games with the paychecks of 119,000 service members. Georgia's home to 65,000 active duty personnel. It's the 6th most in the country. Those stationed at Fort Benning, Fort Stewart, Moody Air Force Base, and others will miss paychecks. And just last week, this is so aggravating to us. It's so frustrating to us. It's so wrong. We saw service members waiting hours in lines wrapped around the block at Georgia food pantries. And meanwhile, you've got both Georgia senators, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, have now voted 8 times against paying those heroes. In Washington, the state of Washington is home to 57,000 active duty personnel. It is the 7th most in the country. And those stationed at Fairchild Air Force Base and Naval Base Kitsap, Joint Base Lewis McChord, and others will miss paychecks. Both Washington senators, Patty Murray and Maria Cantwell, have repeatedly voted against pay for service members in the Evergreen State. Hawaii is home to 43,000 active duty personnel. It is the 8th most in the country. Those stationed at Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam, the Schofield Barracks, and others will miss paychecks. And both Hawaii senators, Mazie Hirono and Brian Schatz, have voted against paying soldiers stationed in Hawaii. And by the way, many of them are thousands of miles away from their families. Colorado is home to 35,000 active duty personnel, the 10th most in the country. And those stationed at Fort Carson, Buckley's Space Force Base, Peterson's Space Force Base, and others will miss paychecks. And you guessed it, both Democrat senators are from Colorado, John Hickenlooper and Michael Bennet, have voted against paying those troops in their state. And I just want to mention New York. It gets honorable mention. It isn't in the top 10, but the Empire State is home to 17,000 active duty personnel, the 17th most in the country. Those stationed at Fort Drum and Fort Hamilton and others will miss paychecks. And sadly, both New York senators, Kirsten Gillibrand and the architect of the shutdown himself, Chuck Schumer, can barely hide their delight that the government is closed and troops are not being paid. I will just say this. There's something that should be remembered by everyone. Democrats say that even missed paychecks for U.S. troops won't be enough to end this shutdown. The Democrats, who we just demonstrated, represent thousands and thousands of the most heroic men and women on the earth, refuse to put their unserious partisan demands to the side and pay the troops. And here are the indisputable facts of this shutdown. Republicans want to pay the troops, and we have shown that with our actions and our votes now 9 times. And the Democrats want to use them as hostages to extort $1.5 trillion in new unserious partisan spending that we just won't go along with. We won't sell out the long-term security and future of the United States so that Chuck Schumer can prevent a primary challenge from his left wing. We will not be a part of that nonsense. And until Schumer and the left wing of his party are satisfied enough that the pain this shutdown has caused has reached a limit that they're satisfied with, then the Republicans are going to stand here every single day, and we're going to continue to deliver the simple facts directly to the American people. Now, today we brought in some of our House Republican leaders who represent many of these military districts and that are being so deeply and adversely affected by the Democrats' senseless games. And the first up that I'm delighted to introduce is the chairman of our Main Street Caucus in the House Republican Conference, and that is Congressman Mike Flood.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
And Speaker Johnson's comments earlier today, it's common sense. Let's get back here, Democrats. Roll up your sleeves and start acting on behalf of the American people. It's really ridiculous when you think about it. It's a CR that is clean for 7 weeks to keep the government open, but you want to play political games because you're afraid of being reelected. An individual that's been in office, Chuck Schumer, the Palestinian senator from New York City, since 1981. He's been around longer than I've been alive, and that's why we do need term limits on both sides of the aisle. Most states have addressed this. Most states have addressed bloated budgets and deficits and also some form of term limits being implemented. But no, not the United States Congress. And cut 18, Mr. Producer, Secretary Bessent really, I think, explained it best today while with Ambassador Jamieson Greer, the United States Trade Representative, focused on dealings with China and the global economy and what's happening domestically and internationally, but asked the Democrats kindly, frankly, to knock it off and the moderate Democrats to come back, especially in the Senate, and help get this government open. Again, cut 18, Mr. Producer.
Thank you all for being here at Treasury today in the midst of this shutdown. We call on the moderate Democrats in the Senate to be heroes. Be heroes. Break away from the hive of radicalism and do something for the American people, because we are starting to cut into muscle here. We believe that the shutdown may start costing the U.S. economy up to $15 billion a day, and this is a decision the Democrats are making. And one of the reasons that they are not being held to task is because the mainstream media is not coming at them the way they would have if the Republicans were willing to keep the government closed. It is a very simple decision. Mike Johnson passed a clean CR. Leader Thune has the clean CR. 3 Democrats have voted for it. And right here, right now, I am calling for the moderate Democrats to be heroes and reopen the government for the American people.
And that was Secretary Bessent earlier commenting on this 15th day of the government shutdown. He was again joined by United States Trade Representative, the Ambassador Jamieson Greer, to talk on the issues of China. And really, we have a situation where it's China versus the world because they are a command control economy. We're a free market enterprise system here in the United States. So many other civilized countries share in that, but we know communists run a once great civilization in China. So Jamieson Greer had some comments, cut number 19, Mr. Producer, on the future between the United States and China as we look towards global trade.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. And I want to express my appreciation to the staff here at the Treasury Department. Obviously, we're still in shutdown because the Democrats refused to open the government, so it has created some additional logistical constraints, but we appreciate everyone's patience and willingness during the Schumer shutdown. With respect to the matter at hand, last Wednesday evening, China announced a sweeping expansion of its export controls on rare earth elements and rare earth processing equipment, as well as technologies related to batteries, vehicles, industrial diamonds, and super hard materials. To be clear, this is not just about the United States. These actions, if implemented, would apply to the entire world. China's announcement is nothing more than a global supply chain power grab. While China has taken a number of retaliatory trade actions against the United States, Europe, Canada, Australia, and others in recent years, this move is not proportional retaliation. It is an exercise in economic coercion on every country in the world. At its core, China's new measures include a rule saying that any product of which more than 0.1% of minerals consist of minerals mined or processed in China, one must seek approval from the Chinese government before trading it. Since many important semiconductors, for example, have these critical minerals, and semiconductors are in nearly everything, This rule gives China control over basically the entire global economy and the technology supply chain. This will impact artificial intelligence systems and high-tech products, but even regular consumer items like cars, smartphones, and potentially even household appliances could be affected. It would also apply to many items that are necessary for defense purposes. And again, it covers the whole world. For example, if a smartphone is made in Korea and sold to Australia, then the company would first need to get China's approval, since the phone contains semiconductors, which may contain rare earths sourced from China. Or if a car is built in America and sold in Mexico, you would need to seek approval from China before making the sale because of the chips in the car. Obviously, neither we nor our allies are going to go along with that kind of system. Many are suggesting that China's action is simply posturing for leverage in negotiations with the United States. While that may be one element of China's approach, it's obvious that these controls are part of a broader plan by China to control the world's supply chains. And these controls are wildly out of proportion to any targeted actions by the United States or its allies over the past few months. Others have suggested that the United States has violated a non-existent agreement with the Chinese regarding export controls or the implementation of measures. This is a false narrative deployed to justify these broad and unacceptable Chinese actions. There is, in fact, a published agreement between the United States and China from earlier this year that the U.S. and China would suspend tariffs of over 100% on each other. China further agreed to effectively suspend elements of its rare earths export control regime by expeditiously approving licenses for U.S. companies seeking rare earths. Both countries agreed to this pause on tariffs and rare earth measures for 90 days while we pursued further negotiations, which have gone on quite successfully for the past 6 months. And there is a published agreement about this on official U.S. government and Chinese websites. This is the Geneva Agreement. It's not a secret. It's out there. It's published. We keep our tariffs low. They keep the rare earths flowing. We have not imposed our reciprocal tariffs on the Chinese since that time, but now the Chinese have expanded their rare earth controls. We have complied. They have not. And so in this context, this is how China has announced its new and extremely expansive controls on rare earth materials just last week. It's a clear repudiation of everything we've been working toward for the last 6 months, which was a stable tariff situation and a continued flow of rare earths. The short story is that we've had compliance and the Chinese have escalated, and they've taken this opportunity to make a pretextual claim of noncompliance or other measures to justify this. But the United States won't stand for it. We're in close communication with our allies who have expressed similar views and who are similarly affected. The President has signaled some of the actions we are taking or may take if the Chinese implement this system of controls on the world.
So very important developments on how to deal with China right now because of these minerals and the mining that takes place there, and ultimately to be dependent upon ourselves. We have a large enough nation. We have enough of an infrastructure, a manufacturing structure, in fact, that President Trump is working to bring back here stateside in order to create national security again here in this country. Did you know that most of our pharmaceuticals, yes, manufactured and made in China, but that's all changing now through the works of countless departments, including the work of Ambassador Greer and Secretary Bessent, dealing with Treasury and high-stake negotiations in all these trade deals that you've seen across the entire world. And cut 20, Mr. Producer, Secretary Bessent following up on just that, dealing with China, and that this truly is China versus the world and where the American government stands in these negotiations.
As the President said, we want to help China, not hurt it. If some in the Chinese government want to slow down the global economy through disappointing actions and through economic coercion, the Chinese economy will be hurt the most. And make no mistake, this is China versus the world. They have put these unacceptable export controls on the entire world. China is a command and control economy, and we and our allies will neither be commanded nor controlled. They are a state economy, and we are not going to let a group of bureaucrats in Beijing try to manage the global supply chains. As Ambassador Greer said, we had a document and an agreement in Geneva, and magnets were flowing quite well. Some U.S. auto companies have called us in the past week and said that there had been a slowdown in magnets. So when we asked the Chinese about this, they said, oh, it probably had something to do with the holiday. Had something to do with the holiday. So they can't be trusted with the global supply chain. Had something to do with the holiday. Moreover, we should this should be a clear sign to our allies that we must work together, and work together we will. There will be a series of meetings this week during World Bank IMF week, and we are all aligned. Not only is China fueling Russia's war, but China's actions have once again demonstrated the risk of being dependent on them on rare earths, and for that matter, anything. If China wants to be an unreliable partner to the world, then the world will have to decouple. The world does not want to decouple. We want to de-risk. But signals like this are signs of decoupling, which we don't believe China wants. And again, we do not want to decouple. We should work together to de-risk and diversify our supply chains away from China as quickly as possible. China says that these rare earths are used in military materials and that they want to maintain peace in the world. Again, it is the purchase of Russian oil by China that fuels the Russian war machine. China buys 60% of Russian energy. They buy 90% of Iranian energy. So who is fueling the Russian war machine? We will be producing photos soon, supplied to us by the Ukrainian government, that shows Chinese parts comprise substantial amounts of Ukrainian drones. So President Trump is the leader of peace. We should work together to de-risk and diversify. China's highly provocative move comes after we've made significant efforts to de-escalate tensions. While there are substantial actions we could take, we'd rather not. I believe China is open to discussion, and I am optimistic that this can be de-escalated. Ultimately, we are confident in the strong relationship between President Trump and President Xi. We've had substantial communication with the Chinese over the past few days, and we believe that there will be more forthcoming this week.
Thank you to Secretary Scott Bessent, doing a wonderful job at Treasury. He's been high level with all of these negotiations, including Ambassador Greer and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, to name a few, as they go and deal with hostile governments around the world and those friends as well who are tough negotiators. We saw that on full display on Monday in Israel and Egypt as the world came together for peace. Thank you to Monetary Gold, the standard wealth security preservation. Call today. Do not delay. Ask how you can remove and for life right there at RSBN4thegold.com. Robert Kiyosaki warning us of 2 bank failures this year. And of course, you might remember him from writing Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a great book on how to teach the middle class and the poor just what the rich get taught, how to diversify income and create generational wealth. So call today. Do not delay. 888-617-7994. Grab that complimentary presidential gold guide, RSBN4thegold.com. Call immediately to discover how you can eliminate those IRA fees permanently for life. We know that nearly 500 banks failing in the Obama administration, even 16 under the tenure of the first and second terms of President Trump, 16 thus far. So when paper money fails and inflation skyrockets, gold and silver, truly the hot commodity. And gold and silver, they keep going up in wealth right now. So it's a very bullish market for silver specifically. So give that a chance today, the complimentary presidential gold guide. And whether it is deciding on generational wealth or just wanting to buy that first house, see where Monetary Gold can help you today. RSBN4thegold.com. Wealth security preservation, all there for you. As we also thank allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. There it goes again, that time of year when flu and cold and COVID, they all hit with fierce vengeance, because that one person in the house, they might have that slight headache or disruption leading into going to sleep the next day. It's a fever, it's a cough, it's sniffles, and then out of nowhere, half of the household or more sick from one of these diseases. So scan that QR code now for 10% off life-saving medications like Tamiflu, ivermectin, antibiotics, and much, much more. Use code RSBN10. That's RSBN10 for 200 essential medications, including emergency medical kits that you could take on the road with you or simply have in your medicine cabinet. Allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. They have the ivermectin as well for those parasite cleanses and all off-label uses of generics that are affordable but also can get to your house on time and under budget. When people get sick this time of year, here's the problem. The clinics, the urgent cares, the pharmacies all get backed up when you don't have anything in store and on lockdown at home. So again, Tamiflu, ivermectin, antibiotics, antivirals, NAD+, methylene blue, 200 essential medications, and emergency kits ready for you to stock up and protect you and yours. Allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, code RSBN10, that's RSBN10 for 10% off. At 7:27, we are anticipating President Trump hosting a ballroom dinner at the White House with a glorious shot of the Capitol building on this Wednesday, October 15th, a stupendous evening in our nation's capital. Let's take a quick commercial break for sponsorships and stick with us right here on the right side of history. It's RSBN Prime Time. I'm Robert McNeely. Don't change that dial.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door. And while President Trump hosts a White House ballroom dinner, the man does not know the word sleep as he keeps going to make America great again. We have some nation's governors on the far left, like J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, literally threatening ICE agents. It's really bizarre and disgusting, given the fact that he's breaking federal law. If memory serves me correctly, that's 1907, Section 8 of 1324 U.S. Code, that he's violating, harboring illegal aliens. But we could play again cut number 11, Mr. Producer, in case you missed Governor J.B. Pritzker on his tirade spewing hatred and falsehoods throughout this country.
I don't trust at all that the Trump administration is going to hold any of these people responsible. We will. We're going to call for accountability. And indeed, you know, the tables will turn someday. These people should recognize that maybe they're not going to get prosecuted today, although we're looking at doing that. But they may get prosecuted after the Trump administration for the things that they did because the statute of limitations won't have run.
But we know that there are people in American life who have carried themselves much better than that man ever has, and one of them being the late, great Charlie Kirk. In case you missed it, the Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor that could be bestowed upon an independent civilian here in the nation, or even abroad, if it's someone who has done quite great work on behalf of their own country or even for the United States of America. That civilian award being the Medal of Freedom, and Charlie posthumously receiving that yesterday on his 32nd birthday, there with Erica Kirk, his wife, to accept it on behalf of him and gifted, awarded by President Donald John Trump. That citation, again, Mr. Producer, 13. If you did not hear the citation, it's a special moment where those in the military read off the Medal of Freedom.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom is awarded to Charles James Kirk. Accepting on behalf of Charlie is his wife, Mrs. Erica Kirk. Charlie Kirk was one of the most influential American political figures of his generation. At just 18 years old, he founded Turning Point USA and grew it into the largest conservative youth organization in the nation. For over a decade, he tirelessly traveled the country, leading a movement to restore respect for our founding principles, reawaken our national identity, and inspire a renewed spirit of religious devotion. He was one of the great debaters and communicators of his time. Despite receiving repeated threats, he remained undeterred and modeled courage, logic, humor, and grace to the next generation. On September 10th, 2025, at age 31, Charlie Kirk was assassinated while addressing a group of students. The United States honors him as a martyr for truth and freedom.
Well-deserved, good and faithful servant. As you look live there to President Trump hosting a White House ballroom dinner on this incredible evening there at the White House. We'll take you there right away when we see some action happening right on the ground. Looks like some sound checks and mic checks as the president prepares to host guests this evening in the East Room, home to many significant moments in American history. From the signing of specific bills to defending getting men out of women's sports. We saw that earlier this year, to the laying in state of John Fitzgerald Kennedy after the assassination in Dallas, Texas, that rocked the nation in 1963, to unveilings of presidential portraits. And wow, do we look towards that one when President Donald Trump will be honored at the White House with his official portrait. But we have 3.5 more years of him, thanks be to God, as we look at these arches now. And I believe this is part of the architecture that we saw there on the Resolute desk just yesterday when he was with the Kirk family and friends honoring Charlie Kirk's life and legacy. Now, these arches will accompany what is going into the grand ballroom at the White House. And President Trump definitely leaving his mark at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Every president has an opportunity to do that, with Richard Nixon and the bowling alley, to what has become post the Johnson administration with the modern James S. Brady briefing room, the Truman balcony, amongst other spots on the White House lawn. For example, the greenery and that specific golf green where you can putt and chip. We saw Kai Trump recently practicing that, the granddaughter of President Trump, who's been interviewing some golfers out there. So I'm enjoying watching her videos that she's putting out on scholarship to the University of Miami for golf in gorgeous, sunny, free, the Sunshine State of Florida. So it's great to see her out there as you have those golf greens on there. To the Obama family putting up, they had a playground there. So every president gets to put their staple on this White House. Perhaps none more, at least in the modern era, than President Donald Trump. He's a builder by nature, so why not continue to make things more ornate and gorgeous to host guests and celebrations right on the White House lawn, whether it's the new and improved White House Rose Garden, where those Friday dinners have been taking place over the course of this summer into the fall evening, and events like putting together a grand ballroom. If you've been to Mar-a-Lago, the presidential ballroom, exquisite, and will be relatively not repeated, but somewhat of a similar architectural style to be there at the White House. So those arches to accompany that, and I'm sure President Trump might just dive in deeper into those details tonight, as many friends and guests of the president enjoying what's sure to be a fine dinner in the East Room. And we are awaiting his walk down that red carpet to address guests there this evening. Now, as all of this happens, President Trump continues on the mission to drive American manufacturing, a boom that we are seeing unlike anything that we've seen in years, perhaps since the Reagan administration, just in the matter of growth there in this country. Under President Trump's bold plans and leadership, America's manufacturing sector is surging forward with unprecedented momentum. In the past week alone, major corporations have unveiled billions of dollars in new investments to onshore production and create thousands of high-quality American-made jobs right here stateside, building on a wave of commitments that underscore the Trump administration's vision for American economic dominance. Stellantis announcing $13 billion of investments in the United States, the largest single investment in the company's history. So the automaker plans to expand its U.S.-based production by 50% over the next 4 years, reopening its plant in Belvidere, Illinois, and adding production in its Toledo, Ohio, Warren, Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, and Kokomo, Indiana plants, a big boost for the Midwest. The investment will bring 5,000 new jobs and the production of 5 new vehicles to the United States. The Whirlpool Corporation announcing a $300 million investment in its U.S. laundry manufacturing services and facilities. The investment is part of the company's commitment to grow its American manufacturing footprint and will create as many as 600 new jobs at its Ohio-based manufacturing facilities. The GE Aerospace Foundation announced a $30 million workforce skills training program to be set up to the next generation, preparing it for its U.S.-based workforce. Now, the investment, which is aimed at training the manufacturing future of an American workforce focused on direct results. The Trump administration pushes to encourage workforce training, skills, and development. So as a result of this, I'm sure you'll see training and cohorts with either high school or college programs where people are actually in apprentice programs, actually learning how to do the tips and tricks of the trade, and in fact, leaving early in order to go do those apprenticeships. These investments come on top of major announcements from Pfizer and GSK, also Eli Lilly, AstraZeneca, Amgen, Hitachi, ABB, and many other companies in order to make public and private investments right here in the United States of America. As we look out to the Grand Foyer and the north entrance of the White House, also the Jimmy Carter presidential portrait there, and those get rotated at times as we look at President Trump coming into the East Room. Let's go there live now at the White House.
a historic trip, so I want to be the least of it. We had tremendous progress in peace in the Middle East, which a term that hasn't even been used in 50 years probably. And it's 3,000 years we're playing with, so people thought that was something, and it really was incredible. We had tremendous friendships, and we've developed some friendships even over the last few days, and it's going very well. And we got the hostages back, which was a big deal. To see it happen. Countries that didn't get along with each other are now seemingly in love with each other. Now, the Middle East have changed perhaps, but the deal will still be there. It's going to be, I think it's going to be something to remember. We've settled now 8 wars, if you think. Russia. I thought the Russia-Ukraine would be easy. It would have never happened. It should have never happened. But a lot of people are being killed in that war. It's the bloodiest war since the Second World War. I think that we'll get that one too. We'll stop. You know, it's not from the U.S. These soldiers that are dying all over the place. 7,212, they say last week. Think of that, 7,212 soldiers for no reason. It never happened. If the right person were here, it wouldn't have happened. I can guarantee you that. But it did happen, and we've made some good progress. Interestingly, we made a lot of progress today because of what took place in the Middle East. Only the deep-thinking business people would understand that, of which we have a lot of them. We have a lot of legends in the room tonight, and that's why we're here, to celebrate you, because you've given tremendous amounts of money to see a ballroom built for the first time at the White House. The White House, for 150 years plus, they wanted to have a ballroom, and it never happened because they never had a real estate person. For me, I like it. For me, it's like, I love it in between China, Russia, and everything else that we deal with. It's going to be a great ballroom. It's going to be a great ballroom. As an example, this has really been the ballroom for many years, and it holds 100 people, of which we have 125 today. But we have 128, and I've never seen it with 128. And by the way, you can have a little good entertainment from the military band right after this. You'll see some really talented musicians. They're going to do a few songs, and you're going to love them. They're very talented people. But so for years they've wanted to have it. And when they have the head of China, the head of any country, we have many of the countries came, and they'd always put the tent out on the lawn. And it was not raining, you get away with it a little bit, but it's still a tent. And the biggest dignitaries in the world, not only political, in many ways, many other ways too. And so I always said that if I pull it off again, we are going to build the ballroom, and I'm going to start right at the beginning. And we had it designed by one of the top architects, and it is very, very respected, and very, very respected actually. And we started the process, and we have it concluded, and it's actually starting right behind us. And if you look, this is really a knockout panel. Should I show you? I guess maybe you can start seeing that. So. We don't really want you to walk on there, but you can take a look if you want. You'll be curious, because we took out all the strength from underneath. That collapsed. We collapsed it over the next few days. It's going to be demolished. Everything out there is coming down, and we're replacing it with one of the most beautiful ballrooms that you've ever seen. And you have some pictures, and basically it's right here. Here's your White House. Here's the West Wing, and here's the East Side, which has been tinkered with for years and years and years. And they had originally a very beautiful building. They call it the East Wing. It was sort of semi-knocked down about 5 times and changed and redone. And everything else was originally done by McKim, and White, great architects. And so that came down, and mostly it's taken down already. and we've started excavation. I'm very good at building things on time, on budget, that I can tell you. You're not going to see like the Fed, where they're up to $4 billion or something to paint some walls. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. This guy, he's too late. He should have been too late with that one, not done it. It would have been done. It didn't need to be done. He could have painted the ceilings. They ripped down a gorgeous ceiling like this, and then they said, we have a problem. Now we have to put one up. How do you do a ceiling like this? And they're way over budget. They decided they wanted to do a basement, but unfortunately the basement is right next, you're right next to the Potomac. And when we went down, they should have stopped immediately because they should have known. But they have a little thing called the Potomac River where the basement is. But they said, we're going to get it done anyway, so you build what's called a reverse bathtub. And it's not that uncommon, but it is actually a reverse, you seal it. The problem is nature always wins. I know a lot about reverse bathtubs. I've done it. And it's something you only do in emergency. There was no reason to do it there. They could have actually, if you think about it, they could have added 3 floors on top, and it would have cost about $2 billion less. So they ended up in this disaster of building a basement in the Potomac River and keeping the water out. It's very hard to do as you're pouring your concrete, which has to be dry. And it's been a disaster. And this is the same guy that keeps the interest rates too high. We should be much lower in interest. We're doing so well, but we would have been, as good as that is, even better. I don't think it's affected us much. You can't. We have an all-time high stock market. Everybody in this room is extremely happy with Trump. If you weren't, I would have postponed it. I would have said, let's do it some other time. But the stock market hits records almost all the time. Every once in a while, we'll have a little situation come up that drives it down, but it comes right back. We're doing really well on trade. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars on the tariffs. The tariffs are making this country so rich, and they're making it powerful. We stopped a lot of these wars using trade. We had, as an example, India and Pakistan were going at it really hard. 7 planes were shot down. It was going to happen. Bad things were happening. And I was talking to both of them about trade. And I said, how are we doing with this? They said, sir, we're doing very well. Great. Well, we're not going to do well. We're not going to do a trade deal unless they stop the war. And I got him on the phone and I said, listen, we're going to put a 200% tariff on your country for any product you sell into the United States unless you stop this war, because I'm not going to be a party to it. You have 2 nuclear nations, by the way. No, you can't do that. I say, I can do that. Very easily I can. We're not going to have to lose millions of people from the planet. And frankly, that dust could blow over here too. It affects everything. It's a powerful, powerful weapon. Too powerful. So powerful you don't want to talk about it. So they said, no. I said, yes. Here's the story. If you're going to go and do it, we're cutting off all negotiations. There'll be no trade with the United States of America. Both nations spoke to I like both. The leaders, I like them both. Wow. But I said, that's the way it is. And I get a call the next day. We have decided to de-escalate. I said, I thought you would, actually. We have decided that we will not fight. I said, have you come to a conclusion? Yes, we're not going to do any more. They stopped. It stopped. Just like that. This could have been a nuclear war. Probably would have been. In fact, the Prime Minister of Pakistan came and saw me, and he was emotional about it. In front of a group of people, he said, this man saved 3 million, 5 million, maybe an untold number of lives. And it was just recently that this happened. And we did numerous of them like that. And part of the reason we did it was trade. I think of the 8, I would say 5 were because of trade. You know, the power of trade, but the power of tariffs. The tariffs have made us a very kind nation because a lot of people aren't dying. I use it for purposes of stopping wars. I love stopping wars. And sort of interesting, I'll be the only president. I don't think any president stopped 1 war. I stopped 8 wars in 8 months. Did I get a Nobel Prize? No. Can you believe it? Even I said, yeah, that's an impossible one. But it's all right. I think next year will be better, but I don't think. You know what I care about? I saved maybe hundreds of millions of lives, but certainly I saved. So now we'll get back to the point on hand. And you're really here because you've contributed to this incredible building that people have wanted for so many years. And we show another building. It's an arc. It's the arc. So that circle, that's Arlington Memorial Bridge, as you know, it's sort of the most important one, a very important structure. And at the end of it, you have a circle that was built 150 years ago. Nobody knows really when. And in fact, they put a couple of columns on each side. So you have 2 columns on one side, 2 columns on the other. But you have in the middle just a circle. And everyone that passes it said something was supposed to be built there. That's true. But a thing called the Civil War interfered. That's a good reason. I would say, Ike, that would be a good reason, right? The great Ike Perlmutter. The Civil War, if you said you're having a war, I think you have a good reason not to build. Again, you know, they were building the Washington Monument, then they stopped, and you could see where they stopped because the stone is a little different color when you get up to the middle. But anyway, they stopped here. And then they were, in 1902, they were going to put a statue of Robert E. Lee up. Would have been okay with me. A lot of people wouldn't have liked it. Would have been okay with me. Would have been okay with a lot of the people in this room, but they didn't do that. And so for years and years it sat, and every time somebody rides over that beautiful bridge going right to the Lincoln Memorial, it's so beautiful, right? It's, they literally say, something's supposed to be here. And so we have versions of it, sizes of it, and it's going to be really beautiful. I think it's going to be fantastic. There's a rendering of what it will look like. You have 3 sizes. That would be the largest one. This is just a model of what it would look like in either of the 3, any of the 3 sizes, which is right here. I don't know if you can see it. So that's Lady Liberty. Lady, did you ever hear of Lady Liberty? On top. But, so the sizes would be very different. And here's Lincoln. And this is sort of facing this way. And so we have this direct line. They did this and into that. So this would be, I go, small, medium, and large. Medium and large. And whichever one will look good. I happen to think the large one's quite fun. Why are you shocked to hear that? So we're going to, just do something for the city. I'm so proud of what we've done with crime. This is a very safe city now. This went from a very unsafe city where you were afraid to go out to dinner to a city that's extremely safe. The people that we have working on this, it's been a miracle almost. It took 12 days. We took out 1,700 people, brought them back to their countries from where they came. Many of them were let in through the Biden open border, brilliant thing, where they let people in from jails, from prisons and mental institutions, insane asylum, that's a mental institution on steroids. And I mean, they were literally emptying out insane asylums into our country. This is Venezuela, but other countries also, not only Venezuela. And speaking of Venezuela, we have a lot of drugs. We had a lot of drugs coming in by water. That stopped. In fact, nobody wants to go fishing anymore. Nobody wants to do anything near the water. They might have a beautiful boat, and they might as well get rid of their boat because they are very nervous about going into the water. It's been amazing. So now we were having a subway train of people and drugs. A lot of them coming from Venezuela, a lot of them come from Mexico and Colombia too, in all fairness, but we wanted to knock out one track, and I can tell you we cannot find anybody anymore. We're looking down there, there's not a boat on the entire ocean that we can see outside of the ocean liners, and even they're a little bit concerned about it. But it shows you the power and the strength and the technology of our great military. We have, I rebuilt the military in my first term. We had a great first term. We had the best economy ever. We had a rebuilding of the military. We had the big tax cuts and all of the assets of the tax cuts, including the 1-year depreciation. You write it off for 1 year. Now we have better under the great big beautiful building because we have no tips for this. You have no tax on tips, and you have no tax on Social Security, and you have for your workers, you have no tax on overtime, It's really I would say a middle of the road bill from the standpoint of who is it representing. It's the workers. It's the biggest bill ever passed in the history of Congress, and I'm glad we did, because we don't need any more bills. We have everything in that one. Plus, we have the deductibility every single year for 10 years. The other one had it for 1 year. You had a rush. This year, this time you don't. Actually, I was in favor of rushing, because that's awfully good for elections, but it's not about elections. It's awfully good. So you have deductibility. You have so many different things. We have great social programs, $50 billion going to rural hospitals. So the great, big, beautiful bill, and we got it all in one. I was very happy because we had little arguments about that. A lot of people wanted to do it in small chunks. I said, if you do it in small chunks, you'll never get it approved. You'll get some approved, but not all of it, and not even close. You get much less, I would say less than 30%. So they've never done this before. They put every single thing that I wanted for 4 years in one bill. And we call it, some people call it different. I call it the great, big, beautiful bill, because that's what it is. And this will keep us at what we want to manage it now. We're going to manage it. All you have to do is that, but we got it all approved. And one of the things I thought, though, while I do, because it's so relaxing for me, real estate is relaxing. For a lot of people, real estate is a very trying business. I've always liked it. I've always done well with it. I love building things. And this way, I can build some beautiful things. And this, again, has never been built, and we're going to start that pretty soon. It's going to be great. And then the ballroom for the White House is the thing that you people have really, really been very generous with. And we're going to build a room that's going to be able to hold literally the inauguration if we want. All of the glass on the sides is bulletproof. It's 999 people it can hold. So if we figure we have 125 people in here approximately now, which I've never seen before. I've always heard it's less than 100. But it's amazing when you have too many people, you can fit them in. You know, you can always fit a few more people in. And pardon the fact that you're a little tight at your table. That's okay. That's better than lots of room for everybody because nobody shows up, right? But you've been so generous in your contributions. Very substantial money, fully financed. It's fully taken care of now. And in fact, we'll have money left over, and we'll use that for something. We'll use that probably maybe for the Ark or something else that will come. But we love to fix up Washington. If you went to the Oval Office, you'd see the Presidential Walk of Fame. And you've heard about it. And with the exception of one particular picture, there's no controversy. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's this beautiful long wall that existed for, it's just literally a wall with half windows on top. And that was originally built as a swimming pool. Now it's where the press is, on the other side of the wall. And it's very interesting. All these people over here with all their cameras, although they've been very respectful, I'll tell you what, they've been very respectful for what's taken place over the last week. So I want to thank you. This is just a small little group. They have a big group downstairs. They have a lot of reporters downstairs wanting to be where they are. I don't know. These, I guess, are you special? This is Doug, who's he won the highest awards there is in photography, including Pulitzer Prizes, right? He won many Pulitzer Prizes for his great work. One that I wasn't so happy with, he had one with a bullet moving along. He caught the bullet. Can you believe this? Sir. But anyway, it's great to have you, gentlemen. It's really good. They have a whole group downstairs, a big group downstairs. I didn't think you'd like to have that up here because they can be, some of them are sort of violent towards some of you, but not bad. So we did a design that is being, just lauded for the ballroom. Showed it to the top people. One of the things that I like the most, I came in and I said to the people in the building, I said, if I make it back, I want to build a ballroom for the country, really, because this is really, they call it the people's house. It's the country's house. I want to build a ballroom. It needs it badly. And a ballroom that could seat 600 or 700 people so that when you have state dinners or more if it's possible. And I said, how long would the process take? Because I'm so used to zoning. And I've gotten a lot of zoning over the years to these two guys, these two geniuses, like movie stars. And and they have a good brain besides. That's pretty nice. Nice to have you guys both with us. So they said, how long? I said, how long would it take? They said, sir, you can start tonight. I said, what are you talking about? You have 0 zoning conditions. You're the president of... I said, you got to be kidding. You mean I can actually do something that I really want? Because I'm used to sitting with heads of community boards and politicians, and it's fine. It's part of the beauty, if you want to call it that, or sometimes it's not so beautiful, of being a real estate developer, especially in New York. It takes you years and years, and it's, it's heartache. And they say, well, sir, we'd like you to cut off 40 stories. I had one where I had it 67 stories was approved, and we go to the end, and I get an emergency phone call from the head of the board. Sir, may we see you? Yes. They come in, sir, we're going to really not be able to approve it. We want you to cut off 42 stories. Cut off. In other words, I'm going to lose 42 stories. I said, there's no way you're doing it. So we fought it out for 2 years. You end up getting what you want, but it's a brutal process. So over here I said, how long will it take me? Sir, you can start tonight. You have no approvals. I said, you got to be kidding. He said, sir, this is the White House. You're the President of the United States. You can do anything you want. So with that came great responsibility. And we did something that was really appropriate to the White House. We didn't want to dwarf anything. We didn't want to make it so that it's inappropriate. And I was watching them very carefully, and that's what we did. And so we're going to have a phenomenal ballroom. This is going to be one of the best anywhere in the world. There won't be anything like it, actually. And it's 4 sides of glass, or glass, beautiful glass, but totally appropriate in color and in window shape and everything else with the White House, moldings. So it's going to be very much in keeping with the White House. You know, a new thing is you build a super modern building next to an old-fashioned building, and I think that's good, but I don't have the courage to do that with the White House. It's good for a lot of places. It's not good. It's not good for here. So everything's very much in keeping, and we'll be able to have state dinners, the kind we would literally not even have state dinners because it's not set up. But for all those years they wanted it, and now they're going to get it, and because of you they're going to get it, and me too. We're all in this together. And I mean, I have so many friends, and so many of you have been really, really generous. A couple of you, I'm sitting here saying, sir, would $25 million be appropriate? I said, I'll take it. You know, it doesn't take too many 25s to get it done. But a lot of you have been really fantastic. Ike, thank you very much. You were great. You were great, Ike Perlmutter. And they just felt it was something that's really good. It's the preservation of something there's nothing like it. To me, there's nothing like the White House. Even after I won the first night, I went up and I'm standing in the residential hallway with Melania, and I'm looking into the Lincoln bedroom. I said, that was a surreal experience. I'm saying, do you believe this? We're in the White House, and that's the Lincoln bedroom. And it takes a while to get used. I'm still not probably really used to it. It's just a special place. What can I say? So we have to take care of it. And we have little things like at the Lincoln bedroom, the bathroom was done by the Truman family, and a long time ago. And it's done in a green tile, and it's done as in a style that was not exactly Abe Lincoln. It's a style that's not good. So it's actually Art Deco, and Art Deco doesn't go with, 1850 and Civil Wars and all of the problem. But what does do is statuary marble. So I ripped it apart and we built a bathroom. It's absolutely gorgeous and totally in keeping with that time, because the Lincoln bedroom is so incredible for those of you that have seen it. We have so many different. Downstairs we have the palm room, and they had 1-by-1 tiles that were put there probably 20 years ago by somebody, and they were broken and bad. It's embarrassing, and I took it out and we did a magnificent book-matched statuary marble floor. We fixed the room and we put up the right, the proper lighting and chandeliers. And it looks incredible. People walk up, they can't believe how beautiful it is. And so we like to fix it up, and it's a little bit of my heritage, fix up and clean up and make it nice. And we're doing that with the White House. So the largest room in the White House was the East Room. That's this room right here, by far. And it currently holds, let's say, as we said, 100. And for this reason, during major functions and events, administrations going back many, many decades were forced to severely limit the number of events they had and certainly limit the number of people. And they had some catastrophic events. Some of the biggest events were a tent being built on the lawn and the rain started, and for some reason, every time they put up a tent here, it rains, and that's not good. And they tended to use a lower level, which is, they have pretty big land here, but they used a lower level where the rain would just seep into the ballroom, and it wasn't pretty when you're sitting down having dinner, talking about, hello, President Xi, and how have you been, and hello, Emmanuel from France, and all the different people that we've had here. And you've got about 4 inches of water, literally, that's going over your shoes, and you're trying to pretend that it's not happening, but it's happening. So we won't have that stuff anymore, and it'll be great. We really need it. The United States is the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, and American presidents need to be able to host events at the White House that reflect the demands of the time and that can carry out the prestige of what we're all doing. I mean, we're a country that a year ago was dead. We were a dead country a year ago, as many of you know. And today we're the hottest country anywhere in the world by far. Everybody admits it. King of Saudi Arabia told me that. You've heard me say it. But Qatar, UAE, the European Union came in, every country. They said it's unbelievable what's happened with the United States. We're hot. And I'll tell you what, had this other group of lunatics been elected, this country would have, I think, you would have actually failed. So we went from being a country that was dead, a country that was really in trouble, open borders, everything they did wrong, men and women, sports, transgender for everybody, every single thing they did was wrong. Just go the opposite, and you couldn't miss. And we had an election that was a landslide. It was so big. We won the popular vote by a lot. We won all 7 swing states. There are 7 swing states, as you know, and if you win 3 or 4, you do great, but to win 7 is very rare that you see that happen. We won all 7. We won the Electoral College by a lot. We're at 312. Remember, they said, well, I don't know if he can get above 250. No, we didn't. We got 312, and it was great. We beat them by a lot. But we have another where you would call it districts, or you would call it, there's a map split up, beautifully split up in tiny little quadrants, and they call them districts, they call them just areas, and we were 2,750 to 525. That's why when you look at a map of the election, it's all red with 2 blue stripes down on one end and the other. And even them I worry about because I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think we did great there. And so we've had an amazing time. It's the most powerful nation on earth now. You see that. You see the weapon. We have the greatest weapons, the greatest manufacturer of weapons. Some of you are in that world, and some of you, the greatest in the world. We have the greatest in the world. I wish we could make them faster, if you want to know the truth. Everybody, all of our allies want them, and they want them as quick as they can. And the American presidents need to be able to showcase our country. So we'll begin the really historic effort to add we'll call Presidential Ballroom. That'll expand the space for tens of thousands of people will be able to come during the course of a year if you add it all up and have the kind of space that you need. It's very exciting. To me, it's exciting as a person in real estate because you'll never get a location like this again. Even contracts, I give out the contracts myself. Can you believe it? And we just gave out the excavation contract, and I guess he was in for $3.2 million. I said, can you do it for 1.5? No, I can't do that, sir. I can't. I said, this is once in a lifetime. This is the excavation of the White House grounds for what will be one of the best, most beautiful ballrooms in the world. Sir, I can't. So, but I got him down to $2 million, so it's not terrible. So we got it. And so many people were so great. Carrier, it's a great company, air conditioning. He called, he said, sir, we'd like to donate the air conditioning. I said, that's a beautiful thing. I appreciate that. He's donating it to not giving it to me, giving it to the country. He donated the air conditioning, a steel company, a great steel company, a great man, actually. He said, sir, I'd like to donate the steel for your ballroom. I said, well, that's nice. And I found out, how much is the steel? I called the contract. Sir, it's down for $37 million. I said, this is a nice donation, right? He wants the steel, and he wants to make it great steel as opposed to garbage steel, because they dump a lot of garbage around, you know. Steel is like everything else, including human beings. Steel can be high quality and it can be low quality. He wants to make sure it's high quality. And so many different people are donating services and they're donating products to the ballroom. It's amazing. If we keep going like this, I may be able to build it for nothing. You know, we'll get it built for nothing. But we're going to be projecting a cost that's going to be, we're going to come in under budget. We started with a much smaller building, and then I realized, I mean, we have the land, let's do it right. And so we built a larger building that can hold just about any function that we want. It'll be done with really exquisite taste, the finest designers, and I consider myself an important designer because they come in with things that they may be good designers, but boy, the things they can recommend are horrible. And we wanted classic, the utmost respect for the historic beauty and grandeur of one of the most iconic buildings anywhere in the world. I mean, you go to the White House and you see that picture. When you ride up in the drive, like tonight, probably some of you realize you drive up that drive and you're looking at that building all lit up and gorgeous and perfect, and we take good care of it too. Wasn't taken good care of. The Oval Office is now at a level that it's never seen before. We take really great care of it. They weren't taking good care of it for 4 years, I'll tell you that. This addition will be completed in the classical style that complements everything else around it, including the Treasury Department, which is right next to it. We have been working very closely with the incredible people of the National Park Service. They really are. They love this place. They're very proud of it. The architects, historians, and everyone else, and many others, to ensure that the project will be beloved and loved for years to come, for centuries to come. It's going to be up for a long time, I hope. To the cherished White House staff and everyone else that worked so hard, I want to thank you very much. And it's from James Monroe, who added the South Portico. I don't know if you know that South Portico. To Andrew Jackson, who added the North Portico. To Theodore Roosevelt, who added the West Wing. Did you know that? Theodore Roosevelt, a long time ago. And Harry Truman, who added the Truman balcony. He wanted the Truman balcony. That's right up here. So you have the balcony off the residential. Chief executives throughout the history have contributed to making the White House special. And nothing of this magnitude has been done. But the really big recent renovation was the West Wing and the Oval Office. And that's pretty major in terms of what it stands for. It's actually not big, but it's really big in another way. It's the biggest, I would say, in another way. And that was around 1900. So that's a long time ago. That's a long time ago. And this is going to be something that's going to make you all very proud. So now we have the presidential ballroom. We're ensuring that the People's House will continue to serve the American people properly, and we can have all the people in the world come and they'll say, boy, what a place that is. But I want to thank, and just leave it by thanking everybody in this room. You've been unbelievable. Some of you have been just incredible. You really felt it was very important to do this, and it happened so quickly. I mean, I thought I'd have this dinner like in a year from now, a year and a half from now, and we have it already because it's fully taken care of. And I just want to thank you all. You're very special people, really. But somehow the ballroom at the White House, it really hit a nerve with a lot of people. They wanted it. You love the country. You know, this country has spirit again. This country didn't have a lot of spirit 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It developed spirit on November 5th, where a lot of you were with me. Some of you weren't, but you quickly became with me. It's amazing the way a victory can change the minds of some people. But most of you were with me. And Pepe, you were fantastic. He's got a little sugar business. He has a monopoly. He has a monopoly on the world's sugar. I would say that's a good business. I know nothing about sugar, but I would say a monopoly on sugar is pretty good, Pepe. Thank you both very much. Thank you, darling, for being. Well, thank you both for, yeah, that's right. He ends up with good real estate. It starts off as sugar, then all of a sudden he's in the middle of a city. And he ends up, but he's been great and a supporter right from the beginning for years. And I see you sitting out there, and I appreciate it, and so many others. So I just want to say thank you all. Simply behind me is a knockout panel. This panel, the next time you come here, will be opened up and gone. No problem with any of the surrounding areas. This room will be fixed. This will be like a cocktail. The whole floor will be cocktails or pre-briefings or whatever it may be, lots of different things. So the entire floor, so you come in, the entire floor sets up. We didn't have to do any of that. Usually you have to do that. You need different rooms to go along with the ballroom. They're already built, and they're built better than anybody would ever build because this is beautiful stuff. It doesn't get better. So we have this one. We have another one similar on the other side. And then we have various meeting rooms and rooms in between that are served for, different dinners for different people. And all of this is utilized just the way it is. It'll be enhanced. It'll be even more beautiful, but it'll be and really brought into the future a little bit from the standpoint of life and lifespan. So this will be your area. Then you get the bell, bing, 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 and you walk into the ballroom, and you'll have close to 1,000 seats if you need them, or much less. We have separating panels, so it could be less, or it could be actually even more than that. So I think it'll be something you'll be very proud of. And what we're going to do is when we open up, you'll be among the first groups, maybe the first group if I still like you at that time, which I'm sure I will. But you'll be here, it will be here, and you're going to be very happy. You're going to be very impressed. We get it done. So I want to thank everybody very much, and it's so many friends in the audience, and I just want to thank you all. You're very special people. You love the country. You love the White House, and what you've done is very important. And we'll have a little dinner, and we'll ask the press to now go home to your wives, family, say hello to them. If I don't like you, don't even bother. But you've been great. Thank you very much. And Doug, thank you very much, and congratulations on a great career. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
So a new era at the White House in this golden era of 2025, leading up to the 250th birthday of this great country of ours, which will be the UFC fight culminating on the South Lawn of the White House. We'll see how much is done by then. Top, and President Trump talking about the marble and the building and all the details that go into a project such as this. You could see the passion in his eyes and in his voice as a great builder, a great developer, knows a thing or two about this, and the White House will look better than ever before. Thank you to mypillow.com/RSBN for the sheet sale going on right now. Normally $70, down to under $40 at $39.98. mypillow.com/RSBN. Over 2,000 products for you there and for your family members. A great option to use, as the 6-piece towel set, yes, is once again back in stock. Call today. Don't delay. It's 800-836-7566. mypillow.com/RSBN. Mr. Mike Lindell, thank you for all of your tireless work for our Constitution, common sense. And President Trump says it best. You're the master marketer, and President Trump being the master builder. Perhaps together there could be a reality show in the future. In the meantime, though, there is more time to be had solving the country's problems, and perhaps the next governor of Minnesota, Mike Lindell. mypillow.com/RSBN. Thank you for your sponsorship. If you like what you see with your go-to live desk, rsbnetwork.com/donate. Also, you could text RSBN to 801-801. The address for checks and money order as well, 1550-1550, Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344. The loveliest village on the plains, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. Once again, 1550, Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. An exciting night here In our nation's capital, we thank you for tuning in to Right Side Broadcasting Network Prime Time on a glorious evening in Washington, D.C. For all of my colleagues here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Robert McNeely. We will see you tomorrow covering the latest from the Trump White House, inside and outside of the Beltway. We're always here for you. Have a wonderful evening. God bless you and yours. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.